APP. That's the acronym. Everyone gets a new app, totally free. It'll help you increase your presentation skills. Audience preparation and practice. We're going to look at each one of these. If you have questions during this time period, feel free to raise your hands. This is going to be as interactive as you make it. I know that everyone has different questions, so let's get started. Illusion versus reality. I'm a magician. My base is the world of magical presentations, almost like theater, almost like movies. There's a lot that goes on behind the screen, and that's my world. I have to separate illusion versus reality. When you present, you have to separate illusion from reality as your starting point. So before you even know your audience, you have to know yourself. How good of a presenter are you? Do you know what you actually say when you present? Do you know how you move your hands? Do you know if you make eye contact with everyone in the room? Unless you've seen yourself, you don't. So you have to do a self-assessment. That's the most important thing because everyone thinks that they're great. Here's what happens in a lot of corporations and a lot of government agencies. It's normally someone who's hired, like an executive, giving a talk. They come off stage and they say to someone who is in a lower position, "How was I? How was the talk?" "Oh, I see the responses have been there already." "I see the smile." "You were great, boss." "Chef, you were wonderful. It was fantastic, out of the park." But was it really? Was it really? Were there areas that could have been improved? And probably yes. Venus Williams said, you know, when you win, everything is great and no one can tell you anything. It's when you lose that you're motivated. Most speakers never get to that point of motivation because most speakers do not flop. You know, they get out there, they give their speech, they come off stage, everyone says, "Oh, that was great. It's wonderful." And then they go on to do the next. "Oh, it was great. It was wonderful." Yeah, that's where we are. So if you want to be a better presenter, you need to see where you are. I'm going to give you a taste of reality. Now, I'm going to show you someone here who thinks that they are great. And I think that they think they were great because they got up and gave this speech. It's painful, but it's short. His name is Phil.
My name is Phil Davidson, and I am seeking our party's nomination master's degree in communication.
That's obvious. Phil. Now, Phil is a well-educated man. He's more educated than I am from a collegiate standpoint. Now, the question is, though, how bad is this? Illusion versus reality. This is only 45 seconds. He actually went on for 5 minutes at this intensity. Yes. I don't think the information was so bad because I've actually thought about learning the speech and giving it in a better way. But I have other things to do. I think he knew his audience. I think the preparation was off, and I don't think he practiced. But I don't think he really knew himself. I don't think he ever saw himself videoed, and he ever reviewed what he actually does, what he actually looks like. And he definitely didn't know his message there because he's talking from notes. He's got to go back every few seconds and get the note. Go back every few seconds and get the note. Now, it's only 45 seconds, and he's only talking about himself, and he still has to go back for the notes. If you don't know yourself to be able to tell your own story for 45 seconds, you are not ready to present. You're absolutely right. That is not good. Don't make someone else suffer through that, please. But that is Phil. So the question is, are you Phil? Now, we know some Phil. You know, the question is, are you Phil? They say that 1 out of every 3 people is a Phil. So look to your left. Look to your right. If it's not them, it's probably one of your colleagues. That's probably it. And I know that some of you have colleagues who are close to the Phil on the spectrum. And that's not good. That's not good. Because being a presenter is easily within the reach of everyone. no matter where you are, if you present well, you'll be better off than someone who does not. You could have a great idea. It could be the most fantastic idea. It could actually be the idea that actually works better than another idea. But if someone has that idea, if someone has an idea that's not as good as yours, but they can present that idea, make it stick, get it out to people before you get yours out, their idea wins. Their idea was not as good as yours, but their idea was heard. And that's what makes the difference, being able to present your story. And everyone has a story. Everything, I think, is a presentation. It doesn't have to be for a jury. It doesn't have to be a life and death situation. It could be for being stopped for a traffic violation, and you have to present your story to the officer. It could be that you are taking care of an elderly parent, and you have to prepare your story to a medical expert and tell them how you actually feel, what your needs are, so they understand how to best take care of you. Everyone presents, even if it's just figuring out where to go to lunch this afternoon. It's all presentation. Audience is the first magic key to a successful presentation. Under audience, you need to do three things. You need to know your audience. These are things you can write down. You need to know your audience as best as you can. See who's coming to your presentations. With the web, this handy new device that we have, you can look up a lot of information about people. You can go almost as deep as you want to go about people and organizations and situations in which you might present. You want to meet people. Go to your presentations early. Because a part of overcoming the fear of public speaking, of actually being in front of a group, is not being comfortable. Well, if you go early to a presentation and you meet a few people, you find out that they don't have two heads. You find out that they don't breathe fire. You find out that they're just like you, and they have children, they have concerns, they may even eat oatmeal every morning. So you find out the similarities. And when you get up to present, then you're presenting in front of familiar faces. And that will make you more comfortable. It's one of the great ways of getting over a fear of public speaking. Once again, to pull back that curtain, all performers have some level of nervousness, hesitation before presenting. Before I walked through that door, I had butterflies. The key is to make all those butterflies fly in formation. It's literally to use that energy to make sure you're doing a good job for the people that are there. Because if you're not nervous, then that's not really a good sign either. Because then something definitely will go wrong and you're going to blow it. So a little bit of nervous energy is good, but you want to channel that energy to make a better performance, a better presentation. You want to engage your audience, and you need to engage your audience with more than just your words. Words are great. But you want to make eye contact with people. You want to have variety. You want to be able to look at people, and some of these things you have to practice. If you're not used to looking at people, you have to practice. You should practice when you're when you're going grocery shopping. Literally look at people who really don't want to look at you. You know, you're in Whole Foods, you're paying $10 for a little bottle of water. Look at the checkout person. Literally, give her or him eye contact. When you ask questions of people as you're maybe asking for directions or something, look them in the eye, because it is a skill. It's kind of hard to do. And especially if you're in a big room, to look at people in the eye who are far away, because you want to get that engagement. Even though maybe you can't specifically see them, you want to get that engagement. It helps to create a connection. You also want to move around the room. Now, you don't want to twitter and go back and forth. You don't want to create a kind of ping-pong volley from side to side. But you want to be free enough to move around the room to create some kind of engagement. We'll talk about podiums and more movement later on. So 3 things. You want to know your audience, you want to meet your audience, and you want to engage your audience. Engage them with words, with movement, with eye contact. Those are the important things under audience.